Thousands of federal workers do not know when they will get their next paycheck, and that's because of the partial government shutdown. There is still no word on when it will reopen. Another migrant child died in the Border Patrol's custody. Many lawmakers are now looking into what actually happened. Now that Christmas is over, some of us are cleaning up the holiday wrapping. But do you know what can be recycled? We will break it down.
"5 a.m. on our Wednesday morning. Welcome to KREM 2 Morning News. I'm Jen York. Brittany Bailey is off this week. We start with this. One man is dead after being hit by a train in Spokane. He was initially taken to the hospital in critical condition, but later died from his injuries. It happened near 3rd Avenue and Sunset Boulevard in Browns Addition. Police say the man was not a railroad employee or anyone who was supposed to be near the tracks. The man was hit by a Union Pacific train. Officers will be investigating the speed of the train, among other things. Coming up on 5:01 now, Evan and Ronnie's in the Weather Center this morning. Christmas Day was pretty mild outside. What do we have in store for everyone who maybe still be taking the day off today?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to have a little bit of snow developing in the afternoon, but it doesn't look like it's going to be too much in terms of accumulations. Right now we're tracking it over central Washington. You can see on satellite radar a good amount of cloud cover throughout all of the region, and then that snow activity happening just around the Moses Lake region and passing farther east. So we're expecting it in Spokane and Coeur d'Alene, I'd say just around the noon or 1 p.m. hour. You can see on the 12-hour forecast that we'll be seeing it. Yep, there you go. Just around noon, 20% chance of the snow showers, picking up to 60 and 80% by the time we get to your evening. Temperatures are going to be right around that freezing point, if not directly above it. This leads us to believe that pretty much everywhere in our region that's going to be seeing any precipitation, it's likely going to be snow. The only region where we're thinking it might be rain is toward far south of the Columbia Basin, where it could be just some light sprinkles as we go on with the day. 28 degrees outside right now, winds in the single digits. We're expecting those winds to increase just slightly, but not really make their way to the double digits. It'll likely stay just around the 8 or 9 mile per hour marker. And besides that, temperatures just around that freezing point. We've got another chance for snow showers later on as we hit your weekend, but right now chances are holding at about 30 to 40%, so pretty light in general. I'll throw things over to Amber Restashon, who's checking up on what the roads look like to start off our Wednesday. Hi, Amber.
Evan, good morning. Well, we're taking a look outside, and we can see clear conditions right now across the Spokane roadways. So good news for any drivers who are getting a jump start on their morning commute. If you are going to hop on the freeway, either eastbound or westbound of I-90, you should be able to go 60 miles per hour, no problem. That's all I have for now, but I will keep my eyes on the roadway in case anything develops and bring you the latest details. Jen?
All right, Amber, thank you so much. It is 5:02 now. Well, we are in day 5 of the partial government shutdown, and there is still no word when it will reopen. Immigration and border security are at the heart of that shutdown. President Trump wants $5 billion for his border wall, but Democratic leaders are offering a much lower number. Neither party seems to be willing to budge.
I can't tell you when the government's going to be open. I can tell you it's not going to be open until we have a wall, a fence, whatever they'd like to call it. I'll call it whatever they want.
The president says many of the 800,000 federal employees affected by the shutdown want it to last until he wins his battle with Congress.
But many of those workers have said to me and communicated, stay out until you get the funding for the wall. These federal workers want the wall.
Many furloughed workers say they are worried because they do not know how long that shutdown will last. Those workers will not see a paycheck until the government reopens. The president says contracts are complete to build 115 miles of a new wall in Texas. He says he will visit the location at the end of January for the start of that construction. His last visit was in March. For the second time this month, a migrant child has died while in U.S. government custody. An 8-year-old boy died in New Mexico after getting sick. Border Patrol agents say the 8-year-old boy from Guatemala was initially diagnosed with a common cold. He was taken to a nearby hospital and released with prescription medicine. But later that night, his condition got worse. He was transported back to the hospital where he died. Guatemalan leaders say the boy and his father entered the U.S. from Texas last week. The country's foreign ministry is asking for a clear investigation into what happened. A senator from New Mexico tweeted, The Trump administration must be held accountable for this child's death. Many lawmakers are now questioning how refugees are being treated.
It's just tragic, and we're thinking about his family right now, what they must be feeling to have lost their child on Christmas Day, to be in a strange country, not to know what's next for them. So we want to do everything we can to help that family. I've reached out to Customs and Border Protection to find out what happened and then what we can do to be helpful to the family. I'm still waiting to hear back from them.
Earlier this month, a 7-year-old girl died in custody of Border Patrol. She died of extreme dehydration. Her body was recently returned to her home in Guatemala. U.S. leaders say there will be an independent review of the boy's death. His cause of death has still not been released. Now, following these 2 deaths, border security agents say they started doing medical checks on every child in its custody. Agency leaders say they are focusing those checks on children under the age of 10. A federal judge ordered North Korea to pay more than $500 million in a wrongful death suit. That suit was filed by the family of University of Virginia student, who died shortly after being released from North Korea last year. He was arrested in North Korea in March of 2016 on suspicion of stealing a propaganda poster. He was sentenced to 15 years of hard labor. After negotiations, he was returned to the U.S. after 17 months, but he returned in a coma. His parents say he was tortured. The judgment is largely symbolic because there is no way to force North Korea to pay the family the money. Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg is up and working after undergoing surgery last Friday. It was to remove malignant growths on her left lung. This comes 1 month after the 85-year-old judge cracked 3 ribs. One of our viewers asked whether a Supreme Court justice could be forced out after they reach a certain age. Our Verify team went directly to the U.S. Supreme Court for answers. Article 3 of the Constitution says judges shall hold their offices during good behavior. This gives justices their lifetime tenures. There are only 3 ways off the bench: an impeachment and conviction from Congress for something criminal, a voluntary resignation, or retiring. Congress cannot impeach a justice for their age. Ginsburg's been on the nation's highest court for 25 years since Bill Clinton appointed her in 1993. Justice Douglas was the longest-serving justice for more than 36 years. Justice Holmes Jr. was the oldest person to serve the court, retiring at 90. So we can verify no. Despite some health hiccups, there is no way to force Ruth Bader Ginsburg to step down from the Supreme Court because of her age. Coming up on 508 now, it was the story that went viral and involved a couple campaigning online for a homeless veteran. But it all just ended up being a scam. So crowdfunding site GoFundMe has given back donations made to that fake fundraiser. It began with a video showing a homeless man giving his last $20 to help a stranded driver. People donated more than $400,000 to a fundraising campaign for that homeless man. But prosecutors say it was all a trick and the man conspired with the couple. Authorities say the money was spent on luxury items and casino trips. All 3 now face criminal charges. Indonesian authorities are warning people to stay away from the coast. That follows a deadly tsunami last week. The tsunami is being blamed for more than 400 deaths. Emergency crews are using trained dogs and drones to look for missing people. Many fear another tsunami is coming because of an active volcano. It has been erupting for months. Experts say an underwater landslide may have triggered this latest tsunami. Yesterday, many gathered to pray for those who lost their lives. Coming up on 509 now. Well, we are less than 1 week away from the new year, and here at KREM 2, we are taking a look back at inspiring people who made an impact on our community.
And we saw a dry Christmas, but snow is developing right now over central Washington. We'll tell you where it's headed right after the break.